Sometimes the oppositions comes from the most unsuspecting places.
Then you asked it, why you not a movie star? I didn't want to be a movie star. This the same Negro that hated on Bernie with this same thing.
Man, I ain't got nothing to say about the Katt Williams situation.
Get ready for some backstage comedy chaos. This one's got the whole internet talking. Katt Williams just threw serious shade at Steve Harvey, and it's getting messy fast. Steve tried to act unbothered, but you can tell those slick comments hit a nerve. And guess who jumped in to back Katt up? None other than Lil Boosie, who's out here riding hard for his guy. Even Bernie Mac's daughter got pulled into the mix, and fans are losing it trying to piece everything together. It all traces back to the early days of the legendary Kings of Comedy tour: Steve Harvey, Bernie Mac, Cedric the Entertainer, and D.L. Hewley. The crowd saw the laughter, but behind closed doors, it was a different story. There were whispers of jealousy, ego trips, and shady moves. Katt now claims that Steve was secretly envious of Bernie's rise and even tried to push him out of the spotlight. But Steve insists that's not true, saying Bernie cleared the air before his passing. So who's really telling the truth here?
Sometimes the oppositions comes from the most unsuspecting places. Sometimes, man, you gonna get blindsided. But you gotta understand how the devil works, man. The devil is evil. He don't fight fair. This thing in life, that's not fair what they saying about me. That's not fair what they doing about me. And it wasn't fair how they did Jesus, but they did it anyway.
Now jump to today, and Katt isn't holding anything back. In a wild sit-down interview, he reignited the whole feud and had fans glued to every word. Steve subtly fired back online with a few cryptic posts that screamed, "I heard you." Then Lil Boosie doubled down, telling people to respect Katt's realness and calling out Hollywood's fake friendships. The tension is thick, the comedy legends are divided, and the audience can't look away. Katt Williams went off in a fiery interview that had the whole comedy scene shaking. He spilled scorching tea on some of the biggest names in the game, calling out Kevin Hart, Tiffany Haddish, and plenty of others. But his sharpest words were saved for Steve Harvey. Katt threw one accusation after another, saying Steve was jealous of Bernie Mac's legendary shine, and even claiming Steve backed away from stand-up after losing a comedy face-off to him. Fans couldn't believe it. The internet exploded, and every clip had people debating who was telling the real story. The video went viral in no time, sparking non-stop conversation across social media.
It started as a Kings of Comedy idea. It was a Def Comedy Jam reunion idea that I had initially.
Okay.
And I called a friend, Stan Lathan, in LA, who was the director of all of Def Comedy Jams. He co-managed some of the talent. So I figured he could help me get Martin and bigger people like that at that time.
Right.
And we tried that for like a month or two, and he could never come up with anything. And that's when I was at my son's football practice one day on the phone, like I was always on the phone, sitting in the bleachers, and that name just kept nagging at me.
Right.
And I didn't know what to do with it.
Okay.
So
at first, Steve tried to stay cool, brushing it off like the chatter didn't matter. But as the drama picked up steam and the comments piled up, Steve clearly decided it was time to speak. Out of nowhere, he dropped a mysterious tweet saying, "You don't have to address your haters." That one line had everyone guessing if it was aimed at Katt or just a general life lesson. But Steve wasn't done. In a follow-up video, he looked calm yet firm, making sure people knew he wasn't one to be pushed around. Steve Harvey might have kept it classy by not mentioning Katt Williams by name. But come on, everyone knew who that message was aimed at.
I always could count on Bernie to do what he does. So I called him first, called his people first.
Gotcha.
He was like into it immediately because at that time, if you read his book, he was kind of at a crossroads with his career. He didn't know what was going to go on with his career. And I called Cedric because I was doing all of Cedric's dates up to that point.
Gotcha.
I was his promoter.
Okay.
And I called Steve because I saw him on a HBO special. I had never seen him do comedy.
Oh, wow.
Saw him on an HBO special with his yellow suit. And I was like, hey, he could be a good addition.
Right.
And so I called him last.
Okay.
But I had the other two, got him.
That's right, because D.L. Hughley was not.
One person.
Okay, got it.
A lot of people don't know that. So.
Right.
The tone, the timing, the look in his eyes, it was all too specific to be random. Fans were quick to point out that his calm words carried some serious bite underneath. And just when people thought Steve was done throwing shade, he came back with another video. This time, he turned the heat all the way up. The smiles were gone, the tone was sharp, and it was clear that this comedy clash had only just begun. The gloves are officially off, and it's turning into a battle of the comedy kings. With Katt known for his raw truth-telling and Steve for his old-school swagger, this feud's about to hit legendary status. But to really understand how we got here, you've got to go back, way back. The roots of this rivalry reach all the way to the late 1990s when producer Walter Latham had a bold idea to unite the funniest stand-up comics in one mega tour. Instead of small club stages, he wanted arenas packed with laughter and energy. That's how the original Kings of Comedy was born, starring Steve Harvey, Cedric the Entertainer, Bernie Mac, and later D.L. Hewley.
You are not going to get away through this thing called life without opposition. But let me say this, though. Be careful when you hear something that's laid out to be the truth, and because the person that's telling you what they say is true is speaking eloquently, don't be deceived by that. There are some people who know how to lie so well. They know how to sprinkle in just enough truth and wrap it inside their lives where they got you thinking that somebody telling the truth. Beware of that, people. You can't be righteous and negative at the same time.
It was supposed to be a reunion-style comedy showcase, but it became much more a cultural moment that changed the game. The tour raked in a massive $37 million and sold out shows across the country. Fans couldn't get enough of these powerhouse personalities sharing the stage. The Kings of Comedy brand kept rolling with spin-offs and specials, but while the cameras showed brotherhood and laughs, the real story backstage was far from picture perfect. Steve Harvey and Bernie Mac, two giants of comedy, were killing it on stage, but off stage, things started to sour. Their chemistry in front of the audience was electric, yet behind closed doors, that same energy turned into tension.
We were all excited, and the next day it didn't happen. And essentially, Bernie, felt like he didn't want to do it anymore. He was on his own path, and Steve. So, nothing like that ever happens or doesn't happen for a reason. So I was disappointed, but I understood that, those kind of things happen. Steve at one point was, uber successful, and then Bernie started to, because he didn't ever think he would get the opportunity he got. But once he did, America loved him, like we all kind of knew they would. And he decided to go a different way. And no one resented it. We were just like, that's dope for you, man. You going to do.
Competing spotlight moments, creative control, and clashing personalities started to quietly chip away at their friendship. When the 2-year tour wrapped up in 1999 after making history, talks about a reunion started to swirl. Fans were begging for one more show, but it never happened. Instead of coming together again, each of the comedy kings went their own way. Insiders claimed that lingering bad blood between Steve and Bernie was the real reason no reunion ever took place, even ages later when the idea resurfaced.
So it turned out that Bernie said in the GQ article that when he got Ocean's 11, Steve had reached out to the producers and said he thought he would be a better fit and tried to get the part.
D.L. Hewley spoke on it in an interview, saying there was definitely tension that nobody wanted to admit publicly. Cedric the Entertainer also opened up about it during a sit-down on Shannon Sharpe's show. He kept it respectful but real, admitting both Steve and Bernie had strong personalities that sometimes collided. Still, he believed they managed to move forward and leave the past behind, and at least on the surface. But then came the twist that reignited the flames. In a 2003 GQ magazine interview, Bernie Mac allegedly spoke his truth and didn't hold back. He hinted that Steve was jealous of his rising success and even tried to block him from landing major movie roles. That accusation hit hard and shook the comedy world to its core. Bernie Mac's alleged claims painted a picture of deep resentment, saying Steve Harvey tried to hold him back from shining in Hollywood.
I didn't know nothing about this concept. When the promoter told me about it in October, I shot it down, because that ain't how I've ever promoted a show. I've always been on tour with some real monsters, man. I've toured with the Kings. I've been on stage with Sid, DL, and Bernie Mac at the same time. It's always been a camaraderie.
Right.
You know what I mean? We're going out here to give the people the best show we can give them. And that's the way we've always promoted comedy shows. Now, you know, to turn this into some type of little beef, that ain't got nothing to do with me. That ain't how I do.
According to those close to Bernie, Steve's jealousy and competitiveness started creeping into their professional lives, turning friendly rivalry into real tension, and things didn't cool off. They only got messier as the years went on. Comedian Damon Williams, who once opened for the Kings of Comedy tour, spoke about it during a Comedy Hype interview, bringing up that infamous GQ article that rocked the comedy scene. He hinted that behind all the smiles and jokes, there was real drama brewing. The kind that people in the industry whispered about but never said out loud. More than a few insiders backed up the story, suggesting that Steve felt threatened by Bernie's quick rise to stardom and that ego clashes led to some serious behind-the-scenes sabotage.
You called Ocean 11 to get that nigga's part. What do you mean you didn't want to be a movie star? So on the behalf of Bernie, I would have to say what I have to say. After Bernie left, them same 3 guys I'm telling you about, the Kings, they came to me. I was supposed to be the 4th king. I got the offer.
Then what happened?
But I turned it down.
Why?
Because you shit on Bernie. And I know the truth. You think I'm gonna let you shit on Bernie and then come get me? I'm the next king? Fuck you. Why? Because the whole time Bernie was here, you was acting like you was funnier than him. That man was funnier than all of y'all, and y'all thought y'all had one over on him. You thought he was black and ugly, and you were good looking, and he couldn't make it because you did. And that ain't the way comedy works. The king is the funniest. Period. Every time. And that's why no audience member was ever swayed. It didn't matter where Bernie went. You think if Bernie went first, he wasn't the king? Get out of it.
Fans couldn't believe that 2 comedy legends who shared the same stage could be dealing with that much bitterness. But Steve Harvey had his own side of the story, and he wasn't about to let the rumors define him. On BET's Conversations with Ed Gordon, he finally opened up about what went down. Steve admitted that reading those GQ claims cut deep and left him angry because he said they simply weren't true. He insisted that he and Bernie had shared plenty of good times together, real laughs and mutual respect. According to Steve, he even confronted Bernie about it face to face. And to his surprise, Bernie allegedly told him straight up that he never said those harsh words.
Steve Harvey did all that. Yeah. The whole show, the idea of the show, the plan of the show, all of that was Steve's doing. He did all of that. He waited until I said I was retiring and that was gonna be my last show. Then on his show, he decided he was gonna make it the championship of comedy, and he did all that. None of that was my doing. I wasn't even involved in it on that level. He was the initial person supposed to be doing the date. I was only supposed to be coming in to help sell tickets, and then he flipped it and made it something he shouldn't have made it with me. And then tried to flip it again and become the victim.
Steve said he believed Bernie completely, calling the article nothing but fabricated nonsense. I was upset at first because it just wasn't true, Steve Harvey explained, looking back on that rough chapter. Me and Bernie had a lot of good times together, and then this article in GQ came out and put all this vicious stuff in there. B said he never said it. I had to take him at his word for it. With that, Steve seemed ready to leave the past in the past. He blamed the whole situation on media hype and false headlines designed to stir chaos between 2 comedy greats. Even though rumors of tension followed them for years, Steve always spoke respectfully about Bernie.
Told you that he stopped doing stand-up because he had 7 TV shows. The only problem is when he stopped stand-up, he didn't have those 7 TV shows. He stopped stand-up because he got in a comedy battle called the Championship of Stand-Up Comedy with one Katt Williams in Detroit in front of 10,000 people and lost because Katt Williams said he was actually bald and that was a wig. And I went in, and that's why he couldn't do stand-up anymore.
Saying he believed in his character till the very end. From Steve's point of view, what people called a feud was really just media noise, and that beneath all the competitiveness, the 2 men had a deep respect for one another. It sounded like closure, until Katt Williams jumped in with a completely different take. Katt had idolized Bernie Mac for years, calling him one of the realest and most naturally gifted comedians ever to do it. But according to Katt, the real story between Bernie and Steve wasn't as clean as Steve made it sound. He claimed there were layers of betrayal, envy, and behind-the-scenes moves that the public never saw. Katt said he waited ages before spilling the truth, wanting to make sure the world was ready to hear it. When he finally sat down with Shannon Sharpe on Club Shay Shay, he didn't hold back one bit.
Man, I ain't got nothing to say about the Cat Williams situation. I don't know about nothing about that. I know he a real nigga to me. Like I say, bro, I came home, I ain't had nothing to man. Invited me to his concert. Got me front row seat. When I was leaving, gave me $15,000. That's real. Everybody else was screaming my name, all kind of celebrity. They ain't even give me a speak. They ain't even speak to me when I came.
He accused Steve of being secretly jealous of Bernie's unmatched talent and rising fame after the Kings of Comedy tour. Katt even said Steve couldn't stand that Bernie's career in film and television was outpacing his own, and that Steve saw himself as funnier, smoother, and better looking, but couldn't handle Bernie getting the love he felt he deserved. Katt Williams didn't just throw light shade, he went all in, laying out a storm of accusations that had everyone talking. In his explosive rant, Katt claimed Steve Harvey resented Bernie Mac's unmatched talent and tried to quietly undercut his career out of jealousy. He alleged that when Bernie stepped away from the Kings of Comedy, the remaining crew actually wanted Katt to step in and take his place.
That man gave me $15,000. I ain't even know him, bro. That's all I can say. How many celebrities was hollering free Boosie? I saw him, they ain't even acknowledge me. Man gave me $15,000. Doing that. He did that from the heart, man. He knew what I had been through, bro. The man knew what I had been through, bro. I'll never forget that. When I see him, I'm definitely gonna bless him, bro. And I keep 15, 20 in my pocket at all the time.
But Katt said no out of loyalty to Bernie. That refusal, he said, was his way of honoring a man he deeply respected. Katt's claims of backstabbing and alleged sabotage over Bernie's movie opportunities lined up eerily with the same things Bernie himself was quoted saying in that old GQ interview. So, even though Steve has publicly insisted that Bernie denied making those remarks, Katt clearly believes there's more to the story than Steve wants people to know. To Katt, the truth about these comedy legends hasn't fully surfaced yet, and he's determined to bring it all to light. But here's where things get even more tangled, because Katt's history with Steve Harvey isn't exactly squeaky clean either. Back in the early 2000s, Katt was rising fast in the comedy game, catching everyone's attention with his sharp wit and fearless delivery. Steve himself once showed him love, even hyping him up during the BET Comedy Awards like a proud big brother. At that time, everything looked friendly on the surface. The two even shared a stage for a massive New Year's Eve show in Detroit, billed as the Championship of Comedy. The promo made it sound like a face-off between Steve and Katt, a showdown of comedic titans. But neither of them claimed credit for that headline. Katt Williams later made it clear that whole Championship of Comedy showdown wasn't his idea at all. He said the competitive setup came from promoters trying to stir drama and boost ticket sales, not from him. According to Katt, he just wanted to share the stage with another respected comedian, not turn it into some kind of ego-driven boxing match with microphones.
What I believe the genuine love and respect that Katt Williams showed my father, it is so much appreciated. Much love and mad props to Katt Williams.
She went on to explain.
I felt like it was genuine. There are some people who have given, my dad his flowers now that he's dead, that I'm looking at like, doggone well, he wasn't doing that when he was alive. And that, not just famous people, just people all across.
Steve Harvey also wasted no time clearing his name on that front. When asked about it, he shut the rumor down immediately, saying he never saw the New Year's Eve show as a battle for comedy supremacy. He said it was just two professionals doing what they do best, making people laugh. But fans didn't buy it so easily, especially when the event was marketed like a heavyweight face-off between the veteran and the new king. The hype had already built itself, and the audience came ready for a clash. When the big night arrived, the energy in Detroit was electric. Steve hit the stage first, giving his classic crowd-winning performance. Then Katt came out, starting off respectful, asking the audience to cheer for Steve and even calling him one of the greatest ever to do it. But that's where the politeness ended. Once Katt got rolling, his tone shifted fast. The gloves came off, and his signature sharp-edged comedy took center stage. He cracked jokes with surgical precision, dropping punchlines that had the crowd roaring while keeping his eyes locked on Steve's legacy. In his now legendary Club interview, Katt Williams didn't hold back one bit. He revisited that unforgettable Detroit show and dropped a bombshell. He boldly claimed that his performance that night was the reason Steve Harvey stepped away from stand-up comedy altogether. According to Katt, that New Year's Eve wasn't just another gig. It was the moment that marked the end of Steve's comedy era. Katt said he didn't just share the stage with Steve, he went toe-to-toe with him and walked away victorious. He insisted that his razor-sharp set left such an impression that Steve never returned to the stand-up circuit again. Whether that's true or just another legendary tall tale, Katt clearly loved retelling the story, painting himself as the comic who made one of the biggest names in entertainment tap out for good. While some fans saw it as ego, others said Katt was simply reclaiming his respect in a world where veterans often overlook the new wave. Either way, it reignited the long-standing tension between the two, turning their rivalry into pure comedy folklore. But then another voice jumped into the mix. None other than rapper Lil Boosie Badazz. Boosie has always shown major love for Katt Williams, and when people started clowning or questioning Katt after that explosive interview, Boosie wasn't having it. During an Instagram Live, he passionately defended Katt, saying nobody was going to disrespect him on his watch. Boosie even shared how when he got out of prison, Katt was one of the first people to show him kindness and generosity. He said, "Man, Katt looked out for me when I ain't have much. That's real." While plenty of celebrities talk about loyalty, Katt Williams actually shows it. And that's why Lil Boosie rides for him so hard. Boosie revealed that when he got out, Katt didn't just send a text or a shout out. He gave him real support, concert passes, cash, and love when nobody else stepped up. That kind of respect doesn't fade, and Boosie made it clear he's standing 10 toes down for Katt. He said straight up, if Steve Harvey ever tries to disrespect Katt publicly, he's gonna have to deal with Boosie himself. And fans went wild hearing that. But Katt's not just getting love from Boosie. Bernie Mac's own daughter, Janice McCullough, also stepped forward to show her appreciation. After Katt spoke glowingly about Bernie in that viral Club Shay Shay interview, she took to social media to thank him for honoring her father's legacy with so much truth and respect. Janice said it meant a lot to see someone finally tell Bernie's story from a place of love and admiration. That moment hit deep. It wasn't just gossip anymore, it became a tribute that touched fans everywhere. So now we've got Lil Boosie and Bernie Mac's daughter both backing Katt Williams, and that's major. It gives his claims a whole new level of credibility, shaking up the entire comedy world. From Katt's explosive interview to Steve Harvey's cryptic posts and Boosie's fiery defense, this saga's got everything. Pride, loyalty, and straight-up Hollywood chaos. And trust, this story's far from over, so smash that like button, hit subscribe, and keep your eyes on what's next in our hood, because the comedy world just turned into a full-blown soap opera, and the next twist could drop any moment.